Hey guys, what's up? This is Nita. This is the Astromystic. Thank you for coming to my page today. So today's going to be a short video. I was just going to talk about Saturn and when Saturn goes into retrograde on the 11th. So a couple of things that I was going to hit on today, and I guess this video was prompted by a conversation that I had today about karma. And, you know, some people don't believe in karma, and that's perfectly okay. But if you do, Saturn is, you know, where we find our karma or having to work through it and, you know, things like that. So when you think of Saturn, you think of like delays and blockages, restrictions, rules, fear, you know, karma plays a part in that. You know, death is also brought by Saturn. You know, boundaries, where we take authority. You know, all of those hard lessons come with Saturn. So with Saturn being in Aquarius, you know, we're looking for ways to not have those strict boundaries, not to have those, you know, because Aquarius wants freedom. Aquarius wants to be the future, like how to fix things and go into the future and have those, you know, things that work for us later down the road. Aquarius is very detached, so they don't get too, you know, like, not the solidity that, you know, Saturn needs. So one of the things that came up for me today in this conversation was the fact that what can we feel, or what can we expect? I mean, I didn't want to go into like a whole expectation part of this video, but I wanted to talk about you know, where we've come from, because most of us have had a Saturn return. If you haven't and you're watching this video, then, you know, if you're between 28 and 30, your Saturn return is coming. And those are difficult, challenging, rewarding years. They're hard, but I always say there's collateral beauty on the other side of, you know, anything that's hard or anything that we have to go through. So, you know, if you haven't experienced that yet and you're getting there, then, you know, having a reading to see where you're at is a good, you know, a little bit of awareness and a good thing, but not required. You know, you can just go through them blindly, you know. So when Saturn goes into retrograde, what we're going to find is, you know, maybe you'll be able to see where you're blocked, or where you see that you have created restrictions for yourself, or within your, you know, your structures, like your work, or in your relationships, or with different things, you know. And looking at your chart would tell where these restrictions are going to happen, or blocks, or where you want to break free from these things. So, you know, if you look at your chart and you say, okay, well, you know, let's just say you have, you know, you're an Aries sun, or your Aries rising, you know, you might be falling in the 10th house, and it could be all about, you know, how people see you. It could be about, you know, your work and, you know, what the public sees in you. It could be so many things. So when we think of how to overcome karma, or are these restrictions, or, you know, that Saturn's going to play like a heavy game for. Saturn is going to be retro for a little while. I think 4 months, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't actually look, honestly. I know that yeah. 4 months. I think till the end of September. So we're going to see a lot of changes come about. And the funny thing with Saturn, though, is is you don't see it when it's happening, because, you know, it's a outer planet, so it's harder to, you don't see it right away. So it's going to be one of those things you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so difficult. Or, you know, you look back and you're like, oh my God, those were the hardest years. Or, you know, man, 2020 was difficult, and this and that. So it will be one of those things you have to look back on to see, you know, where you're going to come out on the other side, or what you had to learn, or what changed, because Saturn usually brings like significant changes. So that might be in your work, that might be in your relationships, depend on where you're at. So anyways, I wanted to throw that out there for everybody. I'm going to make another video on like the in-depth part of this as soon as we get into retrograde a little bit. So, yeah, just be looking for me. And, but this is like a touch on. So come back for the rest of it. And, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit the subscribe button at the bottom. And, thank you for supporting me. I love you all, and I appreciate you watching all my videos.